Okay, we are here. Yes, we're here. It's roughly a little after 11. This is the Smithsonian Reynolds Center American, or the Portrait Gallery. Why are we here? We're here to say if Robert E. Lee has to come down, and if Stonewall Jackson has to come down, we're saying Margaret Sanger needs to come down. That she is the most absolute famous racist of her day. She said colored people are like human weeds and they need to be exterminated, and they have her positioned in this museum as a place of honor. Guess what? In the same vicinity of Martin Luther King. That's an oxymoron. That is an oxymoron. So we recognize that indeed ignorance, often my people are destroyed because of a lack of knowledge. But just as these people may not know, we have to come here and inform them that they're doing more of a discredit to the community than actually helping the community. And they're hiding the lie of Planned Parenthood. Now, Planned Parenthood is the leading killer of African Americans. Make no mistake about it. I don't say that as hyperbole or just a saying or off the top of my head. That's a sociological fact, okay? Check the data. 1,782 African American children are killed each day by abortion. The major facilitator is Margaret Sanger's founding institution, Planned Parenthood. The original name of the group was the Birth Control League, okay? Now, after Hitler and the Third Reich, where the eugenics wasn't too popular, they changed the name that'd be more palatable and acceptable to the community by calling it family planning. What's the plan? Kill your baby. That's the plan to the family. All right, so here we are. We excuse me, sweetie, just want to step out in front of you. There you go. A future evangelist there, learning the ropes. Okay, Black Lives Matter. Why are we here? If Black Lives Matter, then Black Lives Matter can't hang out with Planned Parenthood. Okay, they cannot collaborate with Planned Parenthood. That lets me to know it's not really about Black lives. And I say that openly and publicly to all Black Lives Matters activists. If you don't roll with me, you're basically a hypocrite, because this is the leading killer, and Planned Parenthood is doing that. I don't understand your thinking on how you could collaborate with them, knowing the history. It was founded by a racist. This is very disturbing to me in my old age, very frustrating. So I want to say to you, as you may stumble upon this video, that you need to check out the history of those who you collaborate with. My goodness, okay? So, Black Lives Matter, born and unborn. Born and unborn, okay? And so we want to move on down here. We're going to take a complete circle, all right? As we get down here. All right, just as Margaret Sanger needs to come out of this museum and be told for who she really is, they also say every Confederate flag had to come down. Okay, as a matter of fact, we're not arguing with that, all right? But how can you yell and scream about a Confederate flag and allow the Planned Parenthood flag to fly in every major black city, or every inner city, where they set up their institutions, and Planned Parenthood has done more damage to African Americans than the Confederate flag ever could think it could, all right? So this is evil done to us. That flag, underneath that flag, there was evil done to us. But as it comes around, loops around this pole a little bit, evil done by us. When we willfully accept the lie of Planned Parenthood, then we ourselves are as guilty. Okay, now I say you're doing it in ignorance, but I'm shedding light on this now, so you unquestionably would recognize that logically you must juxtapose these two things, okay? Why are you gathering about the flag and you're not gathering about the flag that's killing far more than that flag ever did, and that's Planned Parenthood's flag? Eugenics is alive and well in America, and this is why we're here. We're here on a rainy day. That lets you know we're not fair weather Christians. We're here to take care of business. We're here to send a message. Okay, to all the churchgoers, recognize I will not have many churchgoers watching this, but if you go to church, abortion is child sacrifice, okay? Abortion is child sacrifice. And we're going to get to another text that just came to light to me this very week. We'll do that in a minute. And so Molech, okay, was the god that demanded a child sacrifice. Right now, eugenics in America demands the child to be sacrificed, demands the death of the child. The shedding of innocent blood pollutes the land. Please, this is why we got a church on every corner and nobody's saved. Hardly anyone is recognizing this outrage, because the land where that seed is being sown is polluted. And I say to the pastors, one way to rid your land is to do what 2 Chronicles 7:14 said, for your household, for your church, if my people, which are called by my name, would humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways, he said he would hear from heaven, forgive their sin, and heal the land. Now remember, I have to say this over and over again, what was going on, if there was a plague in the land, it was because something's wrong with God's people, not the White House, not Congress, not Senate, not the heathen. The heathen will always be the heathen. That's why they're called the heathen. He didn't address the heathen. He said, if my people will stop condoning Planned Parenthood, if people with a collar on will stop saying and calling themselves Christians, stop saying that this is necessary in our African American neighborhoods, it's necessary for poor women, it's necessary for minority women, then God said he will hear from heaven, forgive our sins. And does America need healing? Absolutely, absolutely. So abortion is child sacrifice. Okay, we're going to come across here at this point. Being a student of Dr. Martin Luther King, by the way, Dr. Martin Luther King had no problems with the Constitution. Had no problems with the Declaration of Independence. Okay? These slide doesn't here take a stand, but this moral wrong should never be a constitutional right. In my state, in New Jersey, this goes on, okay? You can kill the child all the way up to the 9th month. As long as that child has not reached the womb, that child is up to be cut apart, destroyed, killed. And Planned Parenthood, just like slavery, just like the depiction of what we do to non-persons, whom we call non-persons. See, when a person is non-person, you can do anything to them. So, like slavery, we were declared non-persons. So you could do anything. You could lynch, you could kill, you could beat, you could abuse. Well, same thing here. Children are in the womb are viewed as non-persons, okay? And I dare anyone on this planet, no matter how many degrees you have, or no matter how long you've been in your profession, I dare any doctor, any biologist, any physiologist would say to me, that's not a child. Or say to me that life does not, every book, biology book on the campuses of this country say life begins at conception. At that point, their constitutional right kicks in, because he said, we hold these truths to be self-evident. All mankind created equal and endowed by the Creator with certain inalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness. We have taken away that right. We have circumvented God. And so therefore, we can do this constitutional right. That's very sad. Constitutional right. They will not be arrested. They will not be held in condemnation. And I heard I heard a great bishop say recently, Bishop T.D. Jakes, he says, but we must remember, we Christians especially, we are not judged by constitutional law. We're judged by God's law, okay? Christian who's watching this, don't tell me it's legal, because so was slavery, and so was Jim Crow laws, okay? Is it right in God's eye according to his word? All right, and that's the question you have to ask yourself. That's why we're at this gallery. They are attempting to deceive and to censor the life of Margaret Sanger's habitual history of hatred, of deprivation, of eugenics, of evil, and her hatred for African Americans or minorities, okay? So you're trying to cover that up by putting a bust here in the Smithsonian. Yet, you took down Robert E. Lee. You took down Stonewall. And so many other people whom they're claiming to be racist or claiming to have stood with the Confederate flag. It's a hypocrisy that is far exceeding. Okay. All right. Okay, here we are. We abolished slavery. Who abolished slavery? Well, people give Abraham Lincoln a lot of credit. I'm not trying to take any credit away. But it was the abolitionists who were pastors, Charles Finney, many others. And I would put John Brown in that, some would argue. But they said we abolished slavery, and we called it evil. We called it something that should not have ever been in this country because of the Declaration of Independence, that rights come from God, not from government, okay? And so we abolished slavery. We overcame bigotry. An actual black man was elected president, okay? It doesn't mean we agree with everything he's done. The fact of the matter is we give credit to credit and honor is due. We overcame that, having a man of color to sit in the Oval Office, all right? But we still kill our children. I'm more perturbed with the church than I am with anyone else on this, because you applauded that, and some of you won't do anything about this. Stand up and say it's wrong. 1,786 African American children are killed each day by abortion, just under 3,000 children overall. 52% of all African American pregnancies end in abortion. Since 1973, over 20 million African American children have been killed. How is this not an issue with the NAACP? How is this not an issue with the Congressional Black Caucus? How is this not an issue with the last administration? Well, it's because everyone has an agenda, and that agenda isn't always about money. Okay, we're going to come across this here. Once again, we're at the Smithsonian, and I stated why we're here. This is a scripture, as I said on Saturday, that really came to light. We were just coming from Pastor Herb Love's church, preached a dynamic message about falling down on our hands, looking up to God, recognizing we come into a time now that it has to be by spiritual warfare. It has to be by a renewed mind. We have to have a new attitude, a new approach. But really, it's not new. We've been ignoring the weapons of our warfare. And it's so necessary for us now to pray and pull these storm downs of hatred, hypocritical actions, all sorts of things that are depriving our culture, but also decimating our community. Okay, so Ezekiel 16:20-21 says, your sons and your daughters sacrifice to idols to be devoured, causing them to pass through the fire. Of course, abortion was not around during the days of Ezekiel, but the devil was. The devil has a thing about destroying the images of God. Okay? We are created in his image. I don't care who you are. Even you, Mr. Atheist, the devil hates you. Okay? Despite the fact you don't even believe in God, he hates you. And so God has allowed us to be here in his image, for no other creature on this planet has that distinction, and we have the Spirit of God. He breathed into us his Holy Spirit. And I may want to drop down at this point. Because he breathed into us, you cannot die. No, you can't die. You will live forever somewhere, either in heaven or in the lake of fire. Yeah. But when he breathed in Adam, that was it. You're going to be alive, okay? Because he's God. And so to think Satan would be allowed to diminish the sacredness of human life through Planned Parenthood and through a mind of eugenics, a mind where they're so innately selfish, where we only consider our own future, our own well-being, and deny the rights to the child to pursue life and become a life, is despicable. And Hillary, that's deplorable, okay? That's deplorable that people would have that type of attitude. But here, I'm going to prepare a great sermon with this one, because I'm not giving it any justice right now over this weekend. But it says, I have never commanded such a horrible deed, this deed of sacrificing, parents taking their children to be sacrificed. It says, I have never commanded such a horrible deed. His part that should just cause you to think all day, all night about. It never even crossed my mind. Say that slowly. It never even crossed my mind. Now, here's the omniscient God who knows everything. And there's not one detail about any knowledge he does not know. But he's also the computer God that can deprogram and not allow certain things to come into his hard drive. Okay? And he said, adultery can come in. Murder, okay, murder can come in. Stealing, thou shalt not. 6 commandments, somewhere around there. Thou shalt not. All that's coming. But he said, the fact that a parent would sacrifice their child and cause their child's death, I won't even allow that to come into my mind. But yet you got people who are in the church saying they're pro-choice. Something that won't even come into the mind of God, you are condoning? Are you kidding me? Wake up. God says, I'm not going to even let that in my mind. Okay? And so Romans 12:2, I believe, takes on a new picture altogether. Be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. And the first thing I would do if I were you, I would get abortion out of my mind that is ever a good thing. Because God does not allow that to even come into his mind, that a parent would willfully give their child to death. Not in his mind. It never crossed my mind. Now, if it was my mind, you could just say, I forgot. If it was my mind, you could just say, I didn't get a chance to think about it. There's no information in the universe God does not know. He says the sparrow, he says not one of them fall to the ground without my knowledge. He says he clothes the lilies of the field. Yeah. He says he gives the lion its prey. God is in everything. But he says there's one thing I will not let come into my mind, that a parent would sacrifice, willfully kill their child. Christian, what are you going to do about this? What are you going to do? We're going to move on. These lovely people, they're so happy to be here. Look at them smiling, just so wonderful. The fact they're saying, we're going to save lives today. We're going to make a change. We're going to do something. Look at that beaming face right there. Aren't you excited about pro-life work just by viewing them? Oh, my goodness. Okay. Yeah. That's Dallas. They lost yesterday. The changing face of choice, religious choice, okay? This was racial choice. Okay, why is this man hung? Why were they put in ovens and why was this man hung? This man was put in these Jews were put in the ovens because that was a religious choice. If you were Jewish, you went into the oven and you were in Germany, okay? In America, during Jim Crow laws and also since our inception, because of the color and skin or their ethnicity, they were hung, they were abused, they were put on fire, they were denied rights to the American dream. They had different water fountains, they had different places to stand in the subway, the bus. Okay, that was a racial choice. Well, then what's the difference of a 10-week aborted baby? That was a reproductive choice. It wasn't a God choice. It was a deceived parent choice. The parent that did not recognize the rights of the child to pursue. And this is why we're here. It's the changing face of choice. It could also be saying the changing tactics of the devil. The thief comes to steal, kill, and destroy. Okay? He doesn't care how he does it, but his delight is in the images that represent God. And there's nothing more precious to God than life. The sacredness of human life. That's what we're standing here for. That's what we are unquestionably saying to, trying to wake up America. And it's so great. We can be here. There may not be, matter of fact, this place is just yet to open. They're opening their doors right about now. But the fact of the matter is, you're seeing this. We're here at the Smithsonian. Why are we here? Because they're still exalting Margaret Sanger, who, unlike the mind of God, thought it to be a good thing, a great thing, that children would be sacrificed, would be killed. Okay, we're going to walk across the street here. Good job, everybody. All right, once again, we're at the Smithsonian. There's the car over here. And this is our last sign. It's my future assistant right here. Okay. Genocide victims are denied rights of personhood. All right. Genocide victims are denied the rights of personhood. Okay, once again, this was the Third Reich. This was the Jews that was their target, not a person in the legal sense. And that was in 1936. So since I don't want to butcher pronouncing that, that was not Moscow, but was a document that they absolutely went by in their own ideology and doctrine. And that was the result. And we know the horrors of the Holocaust. This is in the Smithsonian History Museum. And this is the same thing that Margaret Sanger stood for, subordinate and inferior. Okay, that was the Dred Scott decision, 1857, and they viewed African Americans as freakish human. Come on, sir. Come on, sir. Speak up a little. All right. And the fact that the Dred Scott decision, by the way, it was amended. It was never struck from it. Okay, but the fact of the matter is, it's there. So therefore, once again, once you determine that someone is not human, you can do anything you delight to that person. You can deny them their rights to access to the benefits and the dreams of America. And in this case, they denied them life, just as we deny just under 3,000 children in the womb. Okay, so right now, 1973, even though they said we do not know, they know now. With embryoscopy, with the DNA, all the sciences that we have today, there is now no science that denies the fact that life begins at conception. So in other words, what they know now, you have to go back into 1973. The summation of the Supreme Court said, we do not know when life begins. But guess what? They know now. So what they were saying, since we don't know when life begins, we don't have the obligation to protect that child because we don't know when it's life. Okay, that was 1973. Trust me, we know now. So what should we do? We should revisit 1973. We should strike down Roe versus Wade based on the summation of those judges at that time. It should be struck down, okay? And so 1973, this has been going on since then. Over 55 million, am I correct on that, brother? 60 million. And we say that, and we don't know the implications of 60 million persons mutilated, destroyed in the womb. We're becoming desensitized to the fact that this goes on every day. And that's the sadness of society. And what my greatest fear is that one day we become a society and look at this and feel no shame and feel no horror. But you should be horrified that this is a normal practice in America. So with that, we are going to shortly, we're going to begin, and we're going to have different people address the area. We'll have that on tape for you too. Stay with us throughout the day, and looking for live coverage. You can go right to this Facebook all the time. And others are going to be posting this. All right. God bless you. See you in a while.